Hi everyone, I hope you're good guy and welcome to a new video. So today we're gonna talk about industrial techno synth, and you've been a lot asking me to make tutorial about this kind of sound. Very industrial, very noisy, very saturated. There is obviously plenty of way to create this kind of sound, and today I wanna show you a kind of feature, a little bit of a look in Ableton operator, and I've used this feature to kind of create the rack as well. So let's have a listen how does it sound first. So here I've used it to create the bass and the key. So it sounds like this. I will talk about as well. But it can do more as well. You can see if I change here the more saturated and heavy distorted. So let me move the ambience actually, but and then in terms of key, you have as well, you can have stuff like, oh, sorry, that's this one. So this is more stuff. Maybe you should go with a bit more effect. But yeah, you got as well some other stuff. And then you can get as well some more noisy stuff. So you can see it. I kind of like it because then so you get the idea, this kind of crazy, kind of saturated, heavily distorted sound. And so yeah, the one feature I use operator, so this rack will be available as well for Ableton Live 10. I will put the link in the description. The rack is available for free. Please consider like and subscribing before to tutorial the rack. So let's get started to build it from scratch, and I will explain you what each macro does, and I will give you some tips as well along the way. So I'm gonna group it straight away. And the main feature I've used is basically this feedback here. So you can see here it's in gray, so you cannot use it. The reason why is because to being able to use feedback, you need to have your oscillator not being modulated by another oscillator. So you can see here oscillator A is modulated by oscillator B is modulated by oscillator C, and C is modulated by oscillator D. And you see D, there is no oscillator modulating it, so you can use the feedback. Here I've just used oscillator A, so I'm gonna change the algorithm. The idea of the feedback is kind of re-injecting the same waveform into it. So here you have your sine wave, and if I add some feedback, you see it's kind of becoming a sawtooth, but you can see the more you add feedback, the crazier it gets. And that's exactly what you want for this kind of sound. You kind of have this natural kind of organic beat crush, distortion. And yeah, so we can start to map. So you can map the waveform. I map the waveform this way. I can easily switch between different kind of waveform. And then I want to map the feedback. And one thing interesting is this feedback, you can basically modulate it with the LFO. So if you activate your LFO, here you don't want to modulate your pitch or your filter, but you can go destination B and you can decide to modulate the oscillator feedback. And this way you can see it a little bit like if you was modulating the pulse width of a square waveform, basically. It's kind of the same idea. So by default, I leave it in sine and the low. You can choose triangle, or you can try different kind of waveform for different kind of flavor. Obviously in rhetoric, because I want every time I press the note, I want the LFO to restart from 0. And so then you can hear the wow wow. If I go and I put more amount, but obviously if I put a bit more feedback, I start to have some crazy stuff. So obviously I want to assign this to the macro as well to be able to control it. And I'm just gonna rename quickly. All right, and that's mainly how we're gonna sonically shape our sound. And now obviously you wanna be able to filter it and modulate it a little bit. I'm gonna add just two macro extra here. And I'm gonna map the filter on 5 and the resonance on 6. So for the filter, I use the MS20 type of filter. You can obviously use the one you want. I use this one because it's kind of having this nasty resonance as well when you crank it up a little bit, and it's a little bit less dirty than the other. And so you can apply a bit of envelope if you want something like pluckier. So that's what I've mapped here on the macro noun, is basically if you want something plucky. You can have something the opposite, like more like aspiration kind of vibes. And let me just add a reverb, just like this. We have our sound in a little bit more of a context. So you can bring like this. So I'm just gonna put a bit of attack in the filter envelope to don't have something too clicky. One thing I've added after all, so you got this macro, which is, I call it weird. And basically what I decided to do is to add an extra oscillator that you can control the volume, so add the amount of the oscillator you want. So basically this oscillator is gonna be exactly the same, but just detune one semitone. And the reason why is because by doing that, it's kind of getting this weird vibe. There's some tips that I give in my last video about where I give 5 waveable tips. If you haven't checked, go to check it. And it's just work well in techno. So in operator, if you wanna tune, you can just use a tuner. So you see here is F sharp, and you want to go up, yeah, to tune in G, for example. So this way now, if I remove the maybe if I choose let me bring this up. And you can hear how they are. And actually, let me map as well the waveform to this one. And actually, let me map the feedback as well. So you map exactly the same way. And you can hear now. You get this weird feeling, which is really nice. So I assign that to the macro as well. So this way you can choose if you want or not. That can be nice. Don't hesitate to crank up the resonance as well to kind of create weird stuff. One thing you can do as well, it's add some glide at some point if you want. That's something you can do. And yeah, in terms of operator, that's it. Now I have add amp distortion because it's really nice for this kind of sound. And I just map basically the type to macro 7 and the amount to macro 8. So let me just rename this. And I've actually leave it how it is. I just put the dual stereo, but that's crazy. One thing I haven't done that I will recommend to do, actually I'm gonna put it because it's to put a limiter right after, because like in case of things gets crazy, you know, it's better to have control. But yeah, that's the global idea. Then after, you know, I just put some color and you have the different presets. So if you have Ableton Live 10, obviously it's not coming with the preset. You will have like less macro. I haven't decided which macro I will remove. I will probably remove the plug and the weird one. But yeah, other than that, I think I'll show you everything. So obviously you can even go further. You can, because here what's gonna happen, you don't have effects coming with, so it's gonna depend of what effect you put. And obviously I really recommend to filter it. And you can even create texture by adding a lot of delay and reverb. If you don't really know what effect to add, I've made a rack called Industrial Synth FX. And this basically, you will have some effects straight away to start with. You can even add. And you have frequency shifter here, so with pitch modulation or ring modulation as well that you can play with. That's gonna work very well for this style. Just experiment with, there is a lot you can do with, but yeah. All right, and to finish, let's talk quickly about the groove and everything. So the kick, basically how it has been made, I just use my industrial kick rack and I drop a kick from my raw Techno sample pack. It's the 17. It's not a tutorial, it's just in case you want to recreate and you have the sample pack and the rack you can. So I deactivate this rack here and I've just put the offbeat perk little in the rim this way. And then I add a bit of overdrive. It's kind of give a nice, see, like having a narrow around 50 Hz. I use the same technique in my push to meet industrial techno video, and a bit of dry wet, and then it's just the rumble. This one I didn't use it actually, and this to have like this offbeat vibe, and nothing much else. Then the hats, it's pretty. This wasn't just to have a ride in the clothes I had, so you can see there is no even process. It's everything raw. Same with the ride. Bit of stereo, but a bit of sidechain. You can see which one I use if you want to recreate. Again, the MIDI pattern, it's 16 clothes I had. The ride is playing on the beat and offbeat. And then in terms of ambience, I use some of the loop as well from the sample pack. So it's perfect if you want this noisy ambience and loop. Up, you have this kind of, so all the loops come in wet or dry. So here I use the wet one because it was easier. This kind of noisy ambience. And you have some SFX loop, which are kind of percussion, but weird a little bit, like kind of in the middle between ambience and percussion. But which is nice to add texture. So again, they all come in dry, so you can really modulate them and put your own reverb, delay and stuff. So yeah. That's how it sounds as a whole. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you like it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The rack is available for free. Don't forget to grab it. And see you soon, guys. Bye-bye.